I'm good.
It's me, it's Douglas, it's
Hi.
Malpal, it's Joe and Mitchell. We are here for Roundtable on Monday nights. Baseball Roundtable. We're going to do a little different scenario this week. We're going to do some segments like we normally do, but we're going to take turns moderating, and we each have our own topic. I'm hearing some feedback. I wonder if that's me. I can hear it coming through somebody's speakers, but whatever. It's not that big of it. It's not that bad. It's probably just me. Moving on. We're going to start with Douglas and Joe, who are going to talk about the prospects. We're going to go around the table and talk about why we think that the prospects are not performing the way that they are expected to this year. And Douglas, this was a good idea, even though your thoughts normally aren't fully thought out. They're not.
If it's fully thought out, I usually use it on my show. That's one of the wings.
No, I gotcha.
In my show happens just 16 hours before this one, so it's not like there's a lot of time for thing there. But yeah, I was looking at these prospects, and every year, normally, don't get me wrong, a lot of prospects fail, but if you have 5 prospects call up, at least one's going to be pretty good. One will be at least passable, maybe 2, and there'll be a few stinkers in there. But of all the guys that have been called up, they've had moments. Manoah had a good first game. McClanahan has improved a little bit. But none of them have really stood out as being that great. And most of the rookies that we're thinking about, for Rookie of the Year or whatever, are non-prospect rookies, like Adolis Garcia, Okay.
And Logan Gilbert has been terrific.
I didn't really look at him very closely, but he's only pitched twice.
Gilbert, I'm going to bring him up, yes.
He's the best of all the starting pitcher, and you didn't hear that much about him like you did Manoah. And this guy with Kansas City who's getting shelled.
Logan Gilbert, Lynch was before him.
Lynch, right. If you look at Logan Gilbert's stats, Logan Gilbert has been pretty good.
Yeah, I've lost track of time a little bit, but I didn't realize that he had played that long.
Yeah,
he's got 4 starts.
Wow, 4 starts.
His first start was a stinker. I think 3 starts ago he had a decent amount of walks, but he was still looked good. The last 2 have been very, very good.
Yep.
That's good to say, but still, prima facie, on the surface level, if you were to look at 2-2 with a 4.13 ERA, you wouldn't be thinking this guy's been great. As a fantasy guy, you might go, I see there's been improvement. I think he might be better going forward. But just the knee-jerk reaction is he still fits in that category of it's not that impressive.
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, but Mitchell, do you see? Well, Douglas, I want you to go touch on what you said, that you have an idea about why you think that they're not very good.
Yeah, I really think that it. I think about things in the world like we talk about. My nephew by missing a year of school might be put back a year. These guys that are in process of developing, it doesn't really hurt Freddie Freeman to miss a year because he's already a fully developed baseball player. But a guy who's in the process of development, especially one who's a prospect who is basically told from the moment he signs that do what we say, continue to try, and you're going to be on the big league roster one day. When he misses a year, he's actually set back a year.
But did they miss a year just because they didn't play games, or do you think that they didn't play at all?
Well, I assume that the really top guys got to play in whatever that other thing was, the alternate site games, whatever they were. So I wouldn't say it was a completely non-year, but to take the analogy of my nephew further, it'd be like going to school in a Zoom class. It's okay, but it's not the same.
Right. Is the premise of this argument real though? Are prospects any worse this year than they normally are?
That I really. Mm-hmm.
I would say this year, because normally when you would have, say, a high caliber prospect, they would call up, you would usually get immediate results. And then 3-4 months down the road or a couple of months, the league would adjust. Most of the rookies coming up now are getting either shelled or getting sent back down. That year off has really killed some of the development. Now, on the flip side, though, when they were doing their minor leagues, they weren't learning third pitches. They weren't learning fourth pitches. You're seeing a lot of the pitchers coming up now. The teams are developing that second and third pitch better during the alternate site, but they're not getting in-game experience. They're not getting pitch sequencing. They're not getting the on-the-job experience. But you're seeing pitchers develop things that they probably wouldn't have if they would have had a regular minor league season.
Just to piggyback on that, what I was seeing, what made me say this anecdotally was historically when a rookie pitcher came up, he usually had a pretty good first outing, and then he was bad after that. Like there was that idea of newness. This year, some of these first outings have been historically bad. I mean, like that Kohler outing was horrible. Gonsolin's outing was horrible. There's been a number of those sorts of things where they're not just bad. Like what I would expect out of a bad outing would be like maybe they go 4 innings and allow 2 runs. Like that's like in that middle. But like these have been like crazy bad. 3 wild pitches in 1 inning. I don't know what that is. I mean, I do know what that is, but I don't know what causes it. I mean, and like everything else we talk about in baseball, it's probably not the only cause, but we have to look at the fact that these people who are minor leaguers or less going forward have missed a year of development.
Yes.
Or at least missed 75% of a year or half a year, however you want to term whatever last year was.
Well, so my opinion of prospects is that there's always going to be a couple good ones. It's all about figuring out which are going to be the good ones that immediately acclimate to the majors good. But every year for me, it's 80% failures, and for fantasy purposes. Okay, I'm not talking about like all over the place, but for fantasy reasons, they're just not likely to help your team 80% of the time. But while we're talking prospects, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Wander Franco, his brother's name is Wander Franco, and they have another brother named Wander Franco. There's 3 Wander Francos as kids, and their dad's name is Wander Franco, and now they have a baby brother that's like 6 months old. His name is Wander Franco.
I wonder if I picked up the wrong one in my league.
Listen to this. It gets better.
There was a cousin who was a prospect who's Wander Franco too.
There was the oldest Wander Franco signed with
one with the
Houston
Giants.
Astros.
There was a Wander Franco with the Giants.
That's
the one
his
with
brother.
the twins.
Huh?
Okay. The Wander Franco, the oldest brother, signed with the Astros several years ago. He didn't really ever pan out. But then currently, as we speak, Wander Franco is also a San Francisco prospect and a Rays prospect. So if you're in a keeper league, you have to make sure that you're getting the right Franco.
Yeah.
Because Wander Franco, same guy, not the same guy in San Francisco and Tampa. Joe?
They always say that one of the things that can gauge whether a person will make the big leagues is whether they're like the son of a former baseball player. Wander Franco is the nephew of a former baseball player, but I forget which one. They're all related to baseball. It's a baseball family.
Are they all named Wander, dude? How is this mother tell these boys apart when she has to say, Wander, get over here and clean your room or something? And then I
assume they all have nicknames. You know,
they go by their middle name. That's what I read. Okay, Malpal, you don't seem too amused at this idea.
George Foreman had.
Yes,
6 kids.
I was just going to say George Foreman has 8 kids named George.
Right. So you're just not too impressed by this. Okay.
I was going to say, I was just going to say, the Hall of Fame is littered with players that struggled in their first month. So
yeah,
I mean, our expectations are. You go in the preseason, and Lenny says it over and over: rookie is a rookie, and we never learn. And I agree with Andrea. You know, 80% of these guys are going to disappoint for where they're drafted. If you're relying on rookies to carry your team or really contribute a lot to your team, you're going to fail. The chances are you're going to fail.
I just think the success rate of prospects over the last 2 years is substantially less than it was years ago. I could carry.
And this year is substantially less than it was last year.
I could carry 5 minor leaguers on my roster, and I would call up about 5 a year. I would get called up. I would hit on 2 to 3 on a year that would actually make a difference. I'm 0 for 8 this year. Of people that I called up.
There are no prospects this year who's made a difference. 0.
Correct. There's
except for the non-prospect prospects like Adelis Garcia.
Right. Now I got to go to Fangraphs and
you don't think Alex
Skurloff has been pretty. He's probably the cream of the crop.
Alex Manoah had one lights out start, and the other 2 have been Okay at best.
I thought he was saying Alex Kirilloff. Alex Kirilloff is the one exception. He's pretty good.
Oh yeah, Alex Kirilloff. But you're not. But you've had what 11, 12 prospects that called up, and we're talking about one that's actually you could start.
That's actually 12-team redraft startable. That's it. The list is Alex
the only pitcher that's gotten called up.
Maybe Trevor Kalarnik. Maybe he's borderline. But that's it.
Would you laugh at me if I told you that Larnach might be as good a prospect as Kirilloff?
I don't think he's as good, but I think Larnach is for prospects. He's greatly underrated. Like no one really seems to care.
That's kind of where I'm headed, Doug.
It's like he came up and he was the number 23 rated prospect in Pipeline, like number 27 in Baseball America, a solid prospect, and no one cared. The other one was interesting because the one that no one cared about, a guy in the 60s, was Gerald Perdomo, came up for the Diamondbacks, and no one cared. It's like there's actually been a little bit of a backlash against prospects, I think, at some level.
Most of the middle of the road prospects that have called up have been quietly better than most of the high end ones this year, which is weird.
And I think that there's
I don't know that to be a fact because it's June 14th. I'll bet you $100 right now. There's going to be someone comes up that we've never heard of, or that's going to be up in the next month or 90 days. Everyone's going to go gaga over and is going to hit the road, is going to hit the gates and go explode. And we don't even know who that person is. So
I agree.
Baseball is littered. The history of baseball is littered with failures in the first 100 at bats.
Correct.
You go from Hank Aaron to Tom Glavine to Alex Bregman currently. These guys had terrible starts. So I'm just being a little contrarian here to this conversation.
I understand that to judge everybody.
I think it's too early. There's been some rookies that have come up. Say about Alex Manoah, the guy has about a 3 ERA in 4 starts. That's pretty solid in most books. I remember sitting here a month ago in the chat room getting all sorts of shit for recommending Logan Gilbert. The guy was a disaster his first start. Now what's he worth? I think the sample size is so small. It's still small. Now you got a guy like Kelenic who comes in and it's terrible, right?
Yeah, that's the historic part about it. He was hitting 096. Like that part, they've all been bad, but have they been that bad?
Right.
Jackson Coar's start was one of the
and this guy's the can't miss. So my point is, you never know about these rookies. You got to have the best strategy in dealing with these rookies is the top rookies, right? You got Kelenic, you got Logan Gilbert was a highly rated prospect. You stick with these guys, and if you're going to cut them loose after a couple games, then you're not doing yourself a service.
But
because
the difference,
you
the two things this year,
into these guys and you give them time, or you don't.
I carried Vladimir Guerrero for 2 years for nothing.
It's
2 years.
Different. It's different in Dynasty because there's
and
a payoff on that end.
Worth it. He has proven worth it. I have him through 2023 right now.
You almost have to look at a prospect now instead of they're successful in the minor leagues, they come up previous years where they pitch for a year. You almost got to look at them at a start by start basis, almost pitch by pitch to see how much has changed. If you look at Logan from start 1 to start now, didn't throw any curveballs. Now he's throwing 10 a game now, getting swing and miss. He's locating his fastball. He's not afraid to go up in the zone and down the zone. It's almost start by start because you're seeing them grow in the minor leagues, but in the pros now since they didn't get any experience.
The two things that are different this year are a function of the same thing, is that because there are so many injuries this year, I'm in a situation where I really want these rookies to perform, and they all, to the letter, suck. The other part is I have so many people on my injured reserve. Every league I have that has injured reserve, I have players who are injured that are on my bench, And I can't afford to keep a guy who's going to hit, who's going to be a 450 pitcher or a guy that's going to hit 150, because I may not roster a full lineup if I do that stuff. Now in a dynasty league, you might go, I'll eat a 0 at third base to keep Guerrero on my team. But in a redraft league, there's no reason to do that. You're better off picking up Abraham Almonte than a mediocre rookie that may not help you for 4 weeks. Definitely one that won't help you till next year. So there's a little bit there to put more pressure on that.
Right, but I guess my point is a lot of people are dropping Logan Gilbert because his first couple starts were not that great, right? And how long do you stay with these guys on a top prospect like that? We don't know. So if you're going to go with these guys, you got to give them more than 2 games. You got to give them more than 2 weeks.
All right, I'll give you Gilbert, who we've agreed in this grouping at least is the best pitching guy so far this year.
No.
And I'll give you who's better than him.
Trevor Rogers better than him.
He's a prospect technically, but he's not.
Okay, how about Luis Garcia or
Garcia is a non-prospect prospect. He wasn't listed in their top. He wasn't top 20 on Houston's. Every team's gonna have a top 30, right?
So basically
the guys that are hyped are the guys that are not producing, is what I'm saying. Somebody who's on the edge of things. The reason I think Dallas Garcia is producing is Dallas Garcia, unlike the path that Alex Kirilloff got or Logan Gilbert got, his path to the major leagues was always a big question. There is a more than 50% chance that he never made the bigs. So when he had free time, I assume that the reason these guys are doing well is because they're more committed because they have to be. Whereas the path that the other guys take would normally be okay because they're just following what their team is telling them. It isn't okay anymore. You have to do more than what your team is telling you.
Are you saying that the people that aren't hyped up, they work harder than the people that are hyped up?
I would say that if you get up in the morning and go to your AA team, you know when you get on the field how long your chances are of making the majors. And guys that are drafted in the first round have a better chance. It's not a perfect chance, but it's a better chance.
No, it's not. Guys, but the high rated prospects are told my 2 pitches are good. I'm not going to develop anything else. Look at Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen was a prospect, but not a high end. But he developed 4 pitches instead of the 2 that he originally had, and he turned out, barring the elbow, ends up doing good. He ended up being a very great prospect in the minor leagues with not a high pedigree because he played well, and he's continued. What are we on, year 2 or year 3? The stud guys are going to work on 2 pitches alone till it doesn't work, and then they're going to try something different.
I think there's something you said for that. Is that the guy that realizes that his shots at making the bigs are very long, is he may work harder on his own. He may actually go to the pitching coach and says, I need to develop a 3rd pitch, I need to develop a 4th pitch. Or if he's a batter, I know I'm having trouble recognizing curveballs or something. They'll just do the extra work. Whereas the other guys, they know the path is pretty good. There was nothing keeping Vlad Guerrero from the majors. Absolutely nothing. He was going to make it either way. He's great because he decided to lose the weight. And
how about the pressure?
Seriously.
Does the pressure have anything to do with it when you're a highly touted?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I would really be very careful about saying that because they're hyped up that they don't have a good work ethic. I'm
not saying they have a good work ethic. If you go to your job and you do everything that they tell you to do,
they don't try as hard to get better as
some players try harder than others.
Yes, it's an individual thing, though.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, though. Right? A current example is Kowar from Kansas City, right?
How about
Kelnick? Right?
Kelnick has a bad attitude. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Kowar's had 2 starts. The first one was a complete disaster. The second one was
complete disaster.
Slightly less of a disaster.
It was better.
But what do you do with him? Because if you say I got to cut him loose, that would be the same. Isn't that arguably the same? Thought process. Let him go, Logan Gilbert.
Well, that's what goes back to start by start. If you looked at Logan Gilbert's first start, it was bad, but you didn't see him miss with his pitches that often. He got hit because he kept some of them in the zone that he shouldn't have.
What is up with Logan Gilbert? Why do we like him so much?
Well,
What did he do?
Look at
Gilbert's slider is amazing. His fastball's 97, and he learned a changeup, which did not get mentioned in his scouting report because they said it was terrible, and that's what he did alternate site. He's now locating it, and he was a highly rated prospect as well. But Coar, I'm still keeping him. I want to see if Kansas City pulls him up for a third start. I seen things that I liked. I seen the changeup is good. The fastball is good. The curveball is good. I think he's afraid to pitch to the hitters, and he's thinking in the minor league ball, I could keep it a little bit out of the zone, and they would swing at it. They're going to lay off the things out of the zone and wait for the fastball, and that's what's eating them up right now.
The other thing about Kansas City is that this year they've been jerking around their prospects. Oliveira's up and down, up and down. Isbell, a little bit of a shot, then he was down. Lynch, they brought up before Coar. They didn't let him go 4 games before they said you're done. It's like, I don't trust the Royals, even if this guy were to improve, which I think it's completely within him, for the Royals to give him the chance. For some odd reason, they just start jerking around. Now, admittedly, Olivares is back up because of Benintendi's injury.
Yeah.
So that's his third call-up in 3 weeks.
So Logan Gilbert.
So if you had Coar, what would you do with him?
Well, you have spent so much money on him, but you have to keep him on your roster, right?
If you have, I'm even in a dynasty league, and I'm iffy on dropping him just because of what I've seen.
How can you drop him in a dynasty league?
Yeah.
The problem is if my minor league roster is full, I have to keep him on the bench if they throw him down.
Oh, so there's a rule against it.
Correct. Now, on a redraft, if they throw him back down, or his third start doesn't look any better, I mean, if you cut him now, I wouldn't say any different, but I think he's gonna get sit down because they haven't said anything yet, because that rotation spot's still there currently.
I also don't trust the pitchers to get that much better that much quicker. I remember in my dynasty league having Lucas Giolito, and I carried him for 4 years.
Yep.
In the fifth year, I traded him for $15 of fab money because that's how bad he was. That's all I could get for him. Then in his 6th year, he becomes an ace. You know, that's the crazy thing. Like, yeah, Logan Gilbert might be good, but the odds of him being good this year, or him being at least better than what I could pick up on waivers 4 weeks from now, is at best 50-50. Probably.
So you're giving up hope on
for this year.
Was Logan Gilbert a highly rated? I never heard of him.
Logan Gilbert was in the top 25 in most people's rankings.
Well, but then how can you give up on him this year? He just now is starting
I think people gave up after the first 2 starts in a 12-team league because I figured they could pick up a waiver guy. I didn't see anything that I was alarmed with the first 2 starts other than a rookie pitcher coming in trying to locate his pitches and learn how to pitch the minor leaguers. And the last 3 starts, he's learning to throw to major leaguers now.
So if he's as good as any other,
accurate, yeah.
I think we're always chasing something great, something extra special, and we get very frustrated soon with these prospects. But I agree with Mal. Who was it that was saying that you gotta give these pitchers a chance to, especially rookies and prospects? They are not experienced, so they're gonna have bumps in the road. But if you think they're a good pitcher, like I don't see any good reason why, Douglas, you would throw away Logan Gilbert right now.
There are people out there that drafted like Adley Rutschman and Spencer Torkelson who are cutting them right now. And the reason is because in a redraft league, you have a reasonable belief that you're not going to get anything good from them this year.
Why would you draft them? Adley Rutschman. Why would you draft him?
Well, the people, I mean, I didn't, but people did.
In a redraft league.
In a redraft league, the same reason why people drafted Jared Klenick, the same reason why people drafted Wander Franco.
No.
I mean, Andrew Vaughn's a different story because he was starting to start the year. But it's like people are looking for that down the road, and they're gonna sit there. And at the beginning of the season, you have a situation where your team is fresh, you're not all that injured, you can actually carry a dead spot on your bench. It doesn't really carry. You might be able to carry 3. Now we're here 11 weeks into the season, and I don't have a single team that I own. There's not a single team I have that hasn't had at least 11 injuries. Admittedly, some people have been cut already. The nice thing is we have that draft and hold, so you can look at the tattoos of all the dead people in your draft and hold because you can't cut them. But it's like, yeah, you can do more with that spot. Do I really care Do I think Logan Gilbert's going to be a? What are the odds of him being a top, let's say, 30 pitcher this year?
Not likely, because top 30 is pretty tough to get into right now.
But he's pitching 5 innings. He's lasting 6 innings. And Douglas, let me just make this point real quick, and then I'll shut my hole for a second, so that Lenny doesn't tell me tomorrow that I talk too much. Okay.
You're fine.
I think that some good advice would be that if you do like to draft prospects, that's fine. Highly rated prospects are exciting. Don't draft a guy that has is barely in single A. Don't draft a guy like that, because if he does get called up, which is like the chances of that happening are slim, it does happen that they skip AAA completely. But if you're going to target prospects in your leagues in draft day, find guys that have a couple at bats at all of the levels, like AA, AAA. At least they're, even if they don't have AAA yet, they'll start the season at AAA. That's the guy that you could draft, and even then, I'm anti, but still, you know what I mean, you guys?
No. When you're drafting, you should take advantage. You should take into consideration the real likelihood of them playing at all, let alone playing well. But this year, people were looking at it a whole lot differently, because there are a lot of guys. By the end of this year, we're going to see a lot of guys jump leagues and start. And we already saw it before the season, which got everybody's juices flowing, with Andrew Vaughn never playing a game in the minor leagues, right? And it's like, oh, this can happen, and that messes with people's heads. Yeah, I wouldn't have drafted Adley Rutschman. I wouldn't have drafted Spencer Torkelson. I probably the only guys that I drafted was the only prospect I drafted was Mr. 096, Jared Klenick, and because I knew that he was going to come up probably right after the Super 2 left. But that's the same sort of thing as I'm saying about once they're here, you have no choice. You have to make a quick knee-jerk decision on what you're going to do with them in the future, and that goes against like what's out there versus what you can do. Now, in a 12-team league where there is regularly some decent pitching on the roster, you have to be better than just decent to stay on your team. In a NL only, AL only, in a 15-team, 30 bench spot where you're going 450 deep, you have keep Logan Gilbert around, because the options on the other side are Joe Ross or whoever that long guy is.
Joe Ross pitched 8 innings with 9 strikes.
I'm not saying that that a guy that I mentioned will never have a good game, and I picked up Joe Ross this week. That's why he came to mind. But it's like this week, the highest bid guy in my bid league was that Bobby Long guy, whatever the pitcher for San Francisco who took 2 years off of baseball, and
Long?
2 different
Sammy
years
Long.
off of baseball. Yeah, Sammy Long.
Yeah. He threw 4 innings with 7 strikeouts. Everyone's gone gaga.
$155 in my league.
I like the fact that he pitches for San Francisco, because they do something good for their pitching.
Well, it's a pitcher-friendly stadium, Andrea.
Yes, I know that, but it's beyond that. Look what they did with Kevin Gausman. Just look at their pitching staff.
I agree. They have good coaching. I agree.
Yeah.
And
I know you're not somebody's.
And Long stuff's pretty good too, by the way.
The bottom line would go all the way back to Brother Lenny. A rookie is a rookie is a rookie. When you get a rookie, you're rolling the dice. Lenny couldn't be more right. More times than not, you're going to take it in the ear, okay? But every now and then, Adolis Garcia, he's technically a rookie.
I had to drop him, by the way. He's not hitting.
No, he's going to fall off the table. But isn't he technically a rookie, even though he's 28 years old?
He's pure rookie, yeah.
Yeah.
So Patrick Wisdom.
So he helped a lot of people. Now he's fallen off the table.
He's got to be dropped. Well, I dropped him, so that means he might do better. Just hold on to him for a minute.
I have a history of dropping, but when I pick them up, they're great when I pick them up, and then they stink. And then I drop them when they're playing horribly, and they start performing. John Segura. I traded for John Segura. I traded Pablo Lopez for Segura. And did any of you see the dust up in the dugout between Joe Girardi? I'd rather get in a fight with Vladimir Putin.
And who?
Than Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi tore that guy from asshole to elbow.
Who?
He was Gene Segura for not fielding.
We got him in the dugout, and he was all over him like flies on sticky.
He's done that to him like 3 times this year to Segura.
Wow.
He was
Yeah.
all over him like flies on sticky paper.
Yeah, he didn't hustle to a ball in the gap earlier in the season, or a ball up the middle, and he ripped him a new one on the next when he came back in.
It's working, Joe, isn't it?
He's playing a lot better now.
Okay, see, more managers need to be like that. I never saw Joe Girardi do that.
Oh, Joe Girardi will tell you. I'll tell you, if you tick
Yeah.
him off, he'll come after you.
He's a good
He didn't really do
manager.
that when he was the Yankees manager. There wasn't
know
a lot
what?
of him yelling, but this is a new thing.
I love it. I love it. That's what we used to have back before we all got soft and squishy and limp wristed.
Exactly.
That's what we used to have. You're not performing, you get your butt chewed. I like the cup.
Yes, I got it from the happy hour.
Okay.
And Taco's here. So.
A good old fashioned butt chewing.
And what about your hat? That's your baseball hat you had made, right?
I just had it made on Friday down at the mall. This is my fantasy team, 15-team mixed league, Porters and Stouts.
Are you winning that league?
I'm in 4th place in that league, but I'm in the race. It's a close race.
Is this like a home league that you've been in for a long time?
I've been in this one for about 10 years. My other league, the East Coast Rotisserie League, I've been in for over 20 years. And I'm in 3rd place with a score of 109 in that league.
Is that the name of your podcast? Did you used to have a podcast named that? Or maybe I recognize that because you've been in a league with me before.
I have not done that podcast, but I'll only bore you with one trade. I traded Kirilloff for Anthony Rendon.
That's brilliant, right? You got Rendon.
Anthony
right?
Rendon's $39.
I like it. Oh,
It's a keeper league. I will not keep him.
Okay.
But for the rest of this year, I'm in 3rd place. I'm only out by about 6 points. I picked up Rendon, Eddie Rosario, and Bryce Harper last week in trades.
Who did you trade for Bryce Harper?
For Bryce Harper and Rosario, I traded Trent Grisham.
This team that you're trading with must be in last place.
They're down. Yeah, they're out of the race. They wanted Grisham as a keeper.
You're kidding me. You got Harper and Rosario I would have vetoed. I would have freaking vetoed that trade. I would have
The
been
trade
like,
probably should have been vetoed, but do you blame me? The guy traded to me. Go ahead and veto it. I don't care. Well,
Can you veto in that league, dude? Do people veto in that league?
The trade was not vetoed.
Holy
It
shit.
was not challenged.
I don't veto anything, and I would veto that trade. No question.
I understand it. I'm not disagreeing with you, Andy.
I know.
What I'm saying is, do you blame me?
No, not at all.
You know the reason you rob banks is because that's where the money is.
If you can get away with it, why wouldn't you?
That's where the money is. That's the reason we rob banks.
So they say the sticky substances, well, they haven't started enforcing it at the major league level yet, but you guys, they say that now that the spin rate this past week was lower than it's been all season, and the batting average has jumped up 20 percentage points.
I agree with what Pete Alonso said.
That they changed the ball based on free agent.
No, Pete Alonso said, let them keep using it. I don't want to get the ball thrown in my face. Pete Alonso gave one of the best. Pete Alonso said that Major League Baseball is screwing with the equipment to affect arbitration and free agents. I think he's 100% right. Look, I'm putting MLB front office in the same category as Washington and Congress. They're that disingenuous, dishonest weenies. 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 Listen. They wax indignant about the players cheating. They are cheating. Okay.
By changing
MLB has been cheating for years, and they have the temerity to sit there. Let me finish. They have the temerity to sit there and scream and wax indignant about the players cheating when those bastards are cheating too. And they've been doing it for years.
The question is,
they've been doing it for years. Okay,
because the ball became an issue about 4 years ago.
What?
I don't really remember anything that the Major League Baseball did. I mean, they looked the other way.
They spiked the ball, Doug, 1 year.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
they,
that was 3 years
then
ago. But I'm
then
saying,
they
what they did
reduced
10
the
years
ball
ago.
this year.
This is a relatively new phenomenon. Is the way I
Well,
see
they
it.
allowed steroids
They're
to
as
go on
bad
as
as
long
the
as they possibly
There's a
could.
difference.
They're
Yeah, but that
lying.
wasn't them
They're
taking
lying.
the steroids. They were just looking the other way. But that's actually
They're
their
lying, sleazy
the
bastards.
Major League Baseball. What they've done so far on the spin rate is exactly what they do. Is they announce we're going to get tough on something and then do nothing.
They are lying, cheating.
You know, and that's what they did during
There's no
KD.
Well,
cheating
this
anymore
time.
than MLB front office. Okay,
I think,
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
they are cheating,
Yes.
and they're lying about it just like the players. And look, it's more disingenuous for the ownership and the leadership to lie than for the workforce. This is like if you're at Amazon. It's different if Bezos tells lies than if the guy out on the floor picking the stock is lying. Okay.
But to Major League, I can't believe I'm saying this. To Major League's defense, you didn't hear any players or hitters really throw a stink about the ball change until it affected their paycheck. The ball,
I understand that. I get
you didn't hear the hitters throwing hoopla until it came out. You didn't see a lot of the voice other than Trevor Bauer, because Trevor Bauer's been saying this
outside of Trevor Bauer,
Because
Gary
nobody
Cole's
has the balls to say it.
20-year-old beef.
Correct.
It wasn't for the Bauer and Cole going to college together and them hating each other.
okay.
And then the home run ball, you didn't really hear too much of a stink until the pitchers started getting blisters and started questioning things. And then when things settled down, the ball changed the next year, blisters were still happening, but you didn't hear them complaining at all.
This is the thing though. The thing though about this is something, the blisters are actually more likely to be caused by them using spider tack by them using by them touching a slightly raised stitch.
I don't agree with
you
that.
think about it. You ever rip a Band-Aid off your finger?
I understand what you're saying.
Imagine ripping
totally.
something that was 100 times stronger off your finger regularly for 90 pitches. That's going to cause blisters.
The stitches on the ball, though. Yes, I agree with you. I'm not trying to argue with you.
The blisters might be the pitcher's own damn fault. Is all.
Okay,
I'm saying.
listen to me. Today is June the 14th of the year 2021. Etch it in your kitchen table, as Lenny would say.
Okay.
There will be one or two things. There will either be a player strike or an owner lockout come next year. You'll see minor league players playing in the major league stadiums next year. I told you this today on June the 14th. You wait till next year. It's coming. And the reason? It's not because of the sticky substances, Andrea.
I don't think.
What's the reason?
What is the reason? That the
players want their share of the gambling money, which is the goose that laid the golden egg at the end of the rainbow. The players will walk out over the FanDuel and all this money that's coming rolling in. It's huge. You can walk there. You go into a stadium and they're sitting on their iPhones betting on whether the first pitch is going to be a curveball or a fastball. And by the way, I'm just a dumb kid from the country trying to make my way in the city. Can any of you explain to me how the announcers know that a pitch is a slider, a curveball, a changeup, or how do they know that?
They're using StatCast that can tell them the pitch based on that immediately.
And even that isn't always right.
StatCast tell you in real time?
Chicago's system is very, very, very good for that right now. They probably got the
catalogs the pitch based on spin, movement, and stuff, and so that's probably this, but it doesn't always have to be.
They do. No. The announcers are very general when they talk about the type of pitch. If you notice that they can tell when it's a breaking ball, an off-speed pitch, but like StatCast does do real-time pitches. Yeah. Like when Bauer's out there pitching, and you can watch on MLB.com, you can watch Game Day. I think that's what it's called. But you could see every pitch that comes out. It's because they have StatCast now behind the plate, and they also have TrackMan too with cameras. That's how they tell the spin rate. So Lenny's old partner Erwin, who did the first MLB show with him, he thinks that you can't trust what they're saying about the spin rate. The MLB could be lying about the fact that the spin rate went down this past week. The batting average did go up, though. I'll say that.
I would say the batting average more contributed to the summer heat than anything.
That's a good one, Joe.
Summer heat, the ball does fly, and you're starting to see that because when the temperature's warmed up, you start to see a little bit more home runs.
Malpal, what do you have to say? Quiet.
I agree with that. I was just going to say that all the spin rate garbage, we don't really know. I do know it's hot, and when the weather gets hot, the ball goes flying.
That's right.
And I don't think MLB is manipulating.
I don't understand spin rates. I get the general concept. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like these writers, they want to talk about something, a new controversy. They're always trying to create some sort of disgust.
Yeah.
I don't think MLB is doctoring up the spin rates.
Okay.
Because Google, who currently does it, I believe AWS is gone. I don't think Google would put their reputation on.
Oh, really? You don't think Google would put their reputation?
I don't think Google would sign that contract and get Amazon out and make sure and manipulate their system.
Okay. Well, that's okay.
I don't know, but we don't know how the spin
rate
actually impacts a
Go to Google and type in "happy white lady." Go to
Happy white lady?
Happy white woman. Type it into Google.
Is your picture going to come up?
Oh, no. Not even close. That's a great one. But anyway, I found that somebody sent me that on Twitter.
Happy white lady?
Happy white woman.
I think I sent you that.
Yeah, maybe it was. Type it into Google.
Yeah.
So,
I'm doing it right now.
this is I think we're having a fun
Nothing you like more than a happy white woman.
Oh, it's got to be images. Look at the images. I forgot to tell you that part. The images. Google images of happy white woman.
Yeah, I don't see the point. They're the women.
Are they white? Are they happy?
They're all smiling.
Are they white?
They're as white as.
Are we done with the spin rate? Because I had some.
Go ahead.
Baseball's work.
I follow spin rate, so.
No, there's two black ladies in here.
There's no white happy lady. One white person is like an angry, mean white lady, but the rest of them.
I thought they were all white.
But I mean,
but the thing is, Google, who just signed that agreement, who fights AWS for a lot of the other sports to do this, that would probably not be the best business decision to lose MLB because they want to be involved in other sports.
Well, then I guess they would do whatever MLB ownership tells them to do. Then right?
MLB is not the highest paying sport out there, so if they were able to get basketball, football, which they probably could.
Oh, is it Amazon getting it? What
Amazon currently has football, but if Google can snag MLB away, I wouldn't be shocked that they can get football. I don't think their reputation they would put on doctoring up spin rates from MLB.
Okay.
I'm reading this because I thought StatCast was owned by Major League Baseball, which they are.
They are.
What you guys are talking about is they used to use Amazon for storage. They moved to cloud for storage. The fact that they have two different storage, like the fact that you have 2020 data stored at one place and 2021 data stored at another, makes it actually harder for them to cheat the system because the past guys can say the numbers are. The past guys can tell you, no, the numbers were this.
Do you think that it's crazy to think that MLB is changing the baseball based on the upcoming class of hitters or pitchers? Because
I don't believe that because I really don't think the baseball's been an issue for more than 5 years.
Oh, well, let's just talk about the last 5 years.
And I think in the last 5 years was I think that what they decided to do what happened was they moved where the baseball was produced from one place to another, and that created changes. And since then. And no, I don't think they knew exactly what those changes would be. And those things happened. They got some backlash from and now they're trying to correct those changes. And that's just kind of dumb. It's like they're not always making the same decision. Basically, the data point you have is that in 2019, people hit a lot. And theoretically, the pitchers were coming out. And now this year, there's more batters coming out. And it's easier to pitch with the ball. But that's it. You have two data points. That's it.
And you got to remember when the new ball came out, two things happened: distance on the home runs, but it was also the vertical and horizontal movement of the ball. Spin rates were up compared to previous years with the new movement on the ball. So I'm wondering if I haven't looked it up, but I'm wondering if the spin rate's down now or on average where they were, say, a year ago.
The spin rate is What do you? Like in the
The,
last week?
vertical and horizontal movement on the new ball was a consequence to the new change.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me say something. The spin rate is up, and it changes the movement. If you can increase your spin rate, that's essentially what spin
Correct.
does. It adds movement.
Correct.
Trevor
So you
Bauer,
add that on top of a new ball that's already adding vertical and horizontal on top
Right.
of whatever they're not doing. But
so it made the ball even more
I think it hyped it up even more.
Yes.
I just don't. I'm going to look it up for next week at the spin rates now that were before the MLB decided that we're going to get involved. If the spin rates are higher this year than they were pre. Oh, you could find spin rates.
Tripled, dude. The spin rates.
No, I mean the body, the sample would be of different players year to year. That's what I'm wondering.
But I would look up the first 60 games of each season for the top guys. Like I can look up Cole and Bauer for both seasons, see what their spin rates were before MLB stepped in this year, and I wonder if the spin rates are incredibly higher this year compared to last year.
There's a list of this, and it's very clear. Trevor Bauer's spin rate's up 17%. It's way higher than any other pitcher's increase. But Bauer, the other night, they think that they got Bauer figured out, and I will say that they do not have Bauer figured out because, they say, oh, his spin rate was down. We were right. His spin rate, blah, blah, blah. But his movement wasn't down. Is that crazy? His spin rate was down on every pitch except for one pitch. His movement, however, was not down on any pitch, not horizontal, not vertical. Plus, his velocity was the same too. So this idea that we've got Big Bauer figured out, you're not going to figure him out. He's fucking with you right now. That's what he's doing.
Can we move on to spin rates to
we can.
rates or something?
I want to say one thing about spin rate because I haven't said much. Is Brad Keller not figured out spin rate with his 6 ERA?
Yeah, they never talk about that, Pal, do they?
Has Dylan Bundy not figured out spin rate with his 6 point?
He hasn't.
Dylan Cease has learned a better spin rate, and Dylan Cease is one of the most unhittable pitchers now from a spin rate increase.
Right, but how did he do it? He's number 2 on the list of right after. No, he's not number 2.
Andy,
yeah,
it's theoretically impossible a pitcher could have an improved spin rate absent the use of.
Well,
not if they increase the velocity.
They already have a good spin rate.
The new ball adds vertical and horizontal spin to it, regardless of what the pitcher is doing. And doesn't matter. And then you're adding what the pitchers are doing now, so it's probably supersizing whatever they're doing.
Mitchell, it absolutely is impossible to increase your spin rate 17% without using sticky substances.
Once you already have a decent spin rate, you can go to a college kid who's spinning the ball at 1,800 and get him up to over 2,000.
But
once you have a decent spin rate, it has to do with you can do some things if you're poor at it based on grip and on.
Remember when they used to teach that hitters were starting to learn launch angle and they were changing their amount? The spin rate is stuff that the pitchers are actively improving in the last couple of years. Even some of the guys that were average guys are still improving their spin rate.
Yeah, but the guys that are already high cannot improve their spin rate much.
I don't know if that's true.
Let's move on.
Where'd you find that out? Where'd you find that, Douglas?
Tom House. With Twitter. Friend of mine, Doug Thorburn, works with Tom House. He's a guy that works with pitchers.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a pitcher who's in college who's not that good, he'll come in and say, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. He'll get a spin rate of like 1875 on a curveball and saying a curveball should be around 2,400, even if it's mediocre. And then you correct the errors, you can get it to that spot. But once you're good, you can't move it up much. We're talking about correcting people that have poor ones or average ones.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez was talking about it because he's got really long fingers. They say that the spin is created by the friction that between your fingers and the baseball. So the longer that you can hold on to it, the more friction that you can put onto the baseball and the more spin rate. Mm-hmm. But Bauer said, dude, 2 years ago, he said, I've been trying to get my spin rate up for 8 years. And
but he was already at like 2,300. To get up from 2,300 isn't going to happen.
Let me tell you about pitchers' hands. I sat real close to Sandy Koufax after he retired, and he put a baseball in his hand.
Yeah.
A baseball in the hands of Sandy Koufax would look like a ping pong ball in your hand.
Huge
I've never
hands.
seen hands like that in my life.
Yes, Douglas, you have stubby fingers.
Huh?
Stubby fingers,
I have
Douglas.
stubby fingers and stubby toes. I come from old Irish stock.
Can we move on to trade bait? That's my topic.
Yes, okay, let's do it. Trade
Go
bait.
ahead, please. We're done.
I want to say
trade.
one thing. Wander Franco's uncle is Eric Ibar. That's the guy I was trying to think earlier.
You're joking.
Oh, that's
You're
right.
kidding me.
What?
Angels.
You're kidding
Yeah.
me.
No, I'm not
Someone-
kidding.
Mitch. Go.
No, that I've heard that. Go ahead.
The funniest thing I've heard all day today is someone on one of the baseball blocks compared Victor Robles to Niger Morgan. I'm testing. I bet you Malpower remembers him.
That's not a bad comp, actually.
Huh?
He's the stolen base guy, right?
Remember Niger
Yeah,
Morgan?
stolen base primarily. He's good
Huh?
fielder.
Washington,
Yeah.
Washington guy. Didn't he get
Niger
kicked out of baseball?
He's a lefty. Speed guy.
Yeah, not horrible.
Lefty.
He
speed
wasn't
guy.
horrible, but he just wasn't very good.
He's
And
comparing
at this
who?
point, Victor Robles hasn't been very good
Oh.
yet.
Robles is being just ridiculous, Mitchell.
Yeah,
He
who do you
doesn't
want to
even
who do you want
deserve
to
to play.
who do you want to comp him to? Willie Mays?
No. All I'm saying is I thought it was a good comp.
No,
It's
okay.
not-
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a bad
Well-
one.
So
I think Robles has a little more power than Morgan had, but
Who are you
other than
trading,
that-
Mitch?
my
Mitch, who you
topic
trading?
is keep
Yeah.
them or move them. These are my players.
And is this in fantasy or like in real baseball?
No, real life.
Okay.
real life. Oh,
We're headed to the All-Star break. Keep them or move them. Max Scherzer.
Move
He's
them.
going. He's going.
I think he's staying. The Nationals just have never moved anybody of importance.
They
They're just
should
not
move
good at
them.
it. Yeah, I
they
would
can
agree
still
that they should.
win. They're actually only 6 games back right now. So
Yeah, and that's
They're really
something-
not out of it. Yeah.
It's like they weren't able to do it with Harper. Anyway.
Keep
Are
them
you,
or
are you
move
asking
them.
if they should or will?
I know. I'm
Yeah,
asking
should or
your
will.
opinion on whether they should, Malpal.
Oh, I thought you were saying Will.
no, let's do it if they will move them. What you think if they
Well,
team
either way,
will?
I don't care. You can comment on however.
Yeah.
The question is, will he be kept or will he be moved? Whether it's
Okay.
your opinion or recommendation or whether your prediction. That's
Yes,
fine.
and where to?
I think
St.
Scherzer
Louis or
will
Chicago
stay.
Cubs?
Me too.
Huh?
Cardinals.
What do you say,
I
Malpal?
say Nationals. Nationals.
I say neither. I think he goes
Sandy
AL.
stays.
So
I
both of
agree
you,
with Malpal.
Okay, the three of you all say he's not getting moved.
All right. I hope you're right because I'm
What do
a
No,
you
Joe.
say?
Joe said American League.
I think he gets moved to the American League, and I think he goes to somebody in the AL East.
If he
Why
goes to
American League?
Toronto, they could win the pennant.
Well, because then they
Oh.
don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about him there just in case. I don't think I'd want to face him in the NL. You throw him in the AL, you'll never have to deal with him.
Okay, number
Well-
2, John Means.
They need to keep. They need to keep him because that team's young. They need to keep him.
No, I think they'll trade him if they
I think-
can. They'll trade him.
I think-
Stays. The only downside about Means is he's 28 years old. He's got 3 years left on his, before he's a free
Oh,
agent.
If they can get
But
the
he is
prospects,
28,
they move him.
so
But other
It's
than
an
that, I'm
interesting
keeping him.
one.
It's always important to look at the contract. You say he has 3 more years on his contract.
Which means that they have control, but also means that there's more value if they
Yeah,
trade
control.
him.
He's staying.
I'm gonna go with he. I'm gonna go with he should be traded, but he probably won't be. But the Orioles are far away in a division with 4 teams that are clearly better than them. Their window's coming up in the future, but it's not next year.
Keep him or move him. Jose
John,
Barrios.
Barrios,
they have to keep him in that division.
Yeah, they
he's
gotta keep.
going. He's going to Toronto. I hope. I hope that he goes to Toronto. But he's going regardless of where he goes. He's going.
I think Barrios goes. I think he goes. If I had to choose.
But that's a cheaper option for St. Louis or the Cubs than Scherzer, either him or Means. So that's probably
It's also a downgrade.
yeah. But I would
Do you know that Max Scherzer is getting paid $100 million deferred salary after he gets done with this contract?
That's what the Lerner family does. This is why Harper didn't stay there. They defer everything. And
There's nothing wrong with that. That's great for him.
You know
Yeah,
what?
I don't
I'm
think-
not a financial wizard, but that's actually in the best interests of the player and his family.
Every
sure.
year we get that story
It
about
really
Bobby
is.
Bonilla.
What's
Bobby
that?
Bonilla, dude.
There was a story about Bobby Bonilla, and everyone's like, how stupid that thing was. It's like, that was the best thing for Bonilla. That was the best thing for the Mets. The
Every
Mets were
player would do
bankrupt if they
this.
didn't do that.
He'll never get hired again. I think it was a smart deal.
But every year the people act like it's the stupidest thing ever. It's like,
you
I
know
don't-
what the family did with all the money? They invested it with Bernie Madoff.
Oh, great.
No, that's what happened. Next,
So,
moving
yeah.
right along. Huh?
No, Matt
Cattell
Sher-
Marte.
who?
Cattell Marte.
I think he stays in Arizona.
Yeah.
Why?
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for Arizona's going to want a lot from Marte.
Marte still has another.
He's got some control, but he's actually like the one. If they were to trade Marte, that would be them saying we have no good players. We're trying.
He plays second. He plays second, correct?
second in center field.
So you can get a power hitting second baseman. The price is going to be high for him.
Who could also play outfield.
Yes, the price will be high.
Well, I don't know how high the price can be when he gets paid $10 million, $8 million. His payroll goes up every year, $2 million. So this year,
but $8 million, $8 million for a 25-30 home run second baseman is
$8
not.
million next year, then $10 million the next year, then $12 million after that. He's gets paid through 2024.
I think any major league player who's a real contributor at $10 million is cheap.
Can I go back to Scherzer?
A real contributor.
Yes, $15 million a year.
One
for
of
10
you
years.
made a brilliant observation that I don't think got adequately recognized.
What?
If he has all that deferred compensation, you can't move him. Nobody. Would you take somebody that's owed $100 million in deferred compensation?
Well, deferred
They'll
compensation
probably
is
eat
actually
some of it. They're going to eat some of that.
Yeah, the Nationals have paid that. It's just deferred. There's a difference. Like usually they'll put it into an annuity or something, so they only have to pay 30 cents on a dollar.
It's just deferred to the end of the contract. Essentially, It's not.
But if he's traded, what happens to that $100 million?
They have to negotiate with the
they're
other
going to eat some. They're going to eat some of that contract, and then they'll
most
probably
of it.
defer some, and they'll rework it to make it feasible.
Keep him or move him, Matt Boyd.
Dude, they've been trying to move this guy for 2-3 years now. Nobody
He'd be
wants him.
a great pickup for the Cubs or the Cardinals.
No, I don't.
No?
It would have to be cheap for Boyd.
Here's the problem. He's good every year until the All-Star break when it's trade time.
No,
and then,
Andy, you said that before. You're right.
I don't even know if that's right.
It all
I don't
depends
know.
on the
I think
price.
I think you're right on the money with that.
Matt Boyd's a tease every year. He gets really hot early. You look like he's going to be a player to keep. They're going to trade him. They don't trade him, and then he falls off the table at the end of the year. It's just
Keep him or move him. Keep him or move him. Reynolds, center fielder, Pittsburgh Pirates. Steve Phillips says he should be the all-star starting center fielder. He won't be because of popular
Who's
vote.
that?
I mean,
Reynolds.
Phillips. Huh? Reynolds. Brian.
I don't think
everyone on
Pittsburgh can move him.
Could go.
Yeah, I don't think Pittsburgh can move him. He's probably one of their only good players they have.
Everyone
I
on
don't think they can move him.
Pittsburgh is game.
He absolutely could go. He has arbitration coming up. 4 years of arbitration coming up. He's only had 1 year of arbitration. So no, he hasn't had any arbitrations yet. He's very valuable to another team, don't you think?
I think
Oh, he's valuable, but arbitration would be really hard. They would have to get a lot to get rid of him because his contract's going to be very low even with arbitration.
I think
Yeah, they don't have a good
the
payroll.
only guy the Pirates won't trade is Cabron Hayes. I think everyone else can be had.
Why him?
That's just I know
Young
That's
prospect.
he's the builder.
That's my keep it or move it segment.
More
I like it.
players. This is fun.
I like that one.
Okay, everybody in the Pittsburgh Pirates is in arbitration. This team is they spend nothing. Dude,
They
what
spent
they
$5 on a roster.
Fuck, look at their payroll. Hold on a second. They spend
You know they
100.
have-
It's bad. It's bad.
You know I've been to every baseball stadium in the country.
You did?
I've been to every baseball stadium in the country.
I have not. But we're only a few.
PNC Park is close to being the nicest park in the entire country.
Agree.
That thing, the sight lines in that place are absolutely awesome.
So the Pittsburgh Pirates are spending $64 million, and they have for room due to spend before they hit the tax threshold is $145 million.
Yep, they're doing the Marlin strategy. Let's collect the luxury tax checks and turn a profit till the fans get tired of it, and then we'll try to act like we're doing something, and then we'll do it again. It's
The Marlins have prospects, Joe.
Yeah, but the problem, the Marlins did it every year. It was, hey, let's stay under the luxury tax. Let's collect the money from the Yankees and the Red Sox.
The Marlins.
That's what the Marlins strategy was under previous ownership and management.
Well, remember when Jeter bought the Marlins and then they just had a fire sale? But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Jose Fernandez had passed away. Stanton needed to be traded.
Well, Stanton for that contract, you had to move.
Well, once Jose Fernandez died, I think they just accepted the fact.
Yeah. And they're doing the rebuild going pretty well right now. As it being from South Florida, I'm actually
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm a lot happier with what they're doing than previous regimes that were there.
Well, you paid for the ballpark, so you guys paid for that ballpark.
And that's a beautiful stadium too.
The problem is they don't have any mass transit. Look, Earth to baseball owners. If you're going to build a stadium in the downtown area, it better be on a tube stop, okay?
Okay, does the Nationals Park have transit?
Yes, I have Metro.
It seems like it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Washington's in the Navy Yard. It's right in the middle of D.C. It's about 3/4 of a mile from the national capital. Listen, I got tickets for the Nationals game today. How much did they charge me to park in the garage? The parking is very sparse.
Probably
$50.
$81.50.
Oh,
so you don't go.
No.
No, I'm going because my two grandsons want
park your car 3 miles away and take an Uber ride to be a lot cheaper.
Why aren't
You can't get Uber, Joe, because everybody's trying to get Uber at the same time.
Wait a minute.
I'm back. Hi, everyone.
Wait a minute. I wouldn't notice that you left.
Sorry, that was a joke. I'm on generator power right now.
That was a
no
joke.
Lights here.
What happened, Doug?
I was just teasing.
It was raining today. Yeah, it was raining today. It's still raining. I usually, before my show, if it's raining when I start, I'll say, hey, power might go out.
Are you getting that thunderstorm? Yeah, it just passed me a little bit ago.
How humid is it there?
Where are you, Joe?
I'm in Ocala, just north of him, so we usually get some of it before it goes down to him.
I have a sister that lives in Ocala.
Yeah, so I know what he's going through. We just got it.
Okay.
Yeah, this happens so often. I have a little portable generator that'll run for about 60 minutes.
Okay, what's the next topic? Do we have more topics? Because
the next one I see is Yankees starting pitcher carousel. If you want to call it carousel, pretty much.
Pitchers stink.
There's 3 teams with big problems in their starting rotation right now: the Cardinals, the Yankees, and the Indians. All 3 of these teams are really screwed when it comes to starting pitching.
Yeah.
But what are they going to do? That's the question. Are the Yankees feeling good enough to actually get or make a play for a pitcher?
They're going to have to.
They have prospects now.
Do you think that they feel like their team is good enough? They're hitting.
That's the problem, I think. I mean, realistically speaking, if they wait,
feedback.
Okay.
If they wait it out, they're going to get Kluber back. They're going to get Severino at some point. They're going to get better at pitching by August.
I still think they need one arm in that rotation.
At least.
And Severino has a bad injury.
What is it?
Groin injury. The groin injury.
He hurt his groin in his rehab start, which really just pushes him back 6 weeks.
What's
he's
the
coming back from Tommy John.
Of the groin strain? Do we know this yet? The grade of the groin strain?
No, I don't know the grade.
They haven't announced it yet.
That's going to be a big deal. Kluber, do you really think he's coming back? What are you going to get out of Kluber for the Yankees? What can the Yankees rely on from him?
Well, I mean, I think that he's going to be better than what they've been doing with Michael King and the other guys. That's all I'm saying.
I cut Tyon this weekend. He's awful, and that guy looks like he weighs 500 pounds. He is porked up.
Who?
Tyon. That guy is so fat. I can't believe how fat.
They should have signed Taijuan Walker.
But now this goes back to the players that we talked about. You got Scherzer. That's a team that the Yankees would pay to get. They have prospects.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good to be a
I mean,
group. If they feel like their hitting is motivated enough. It feels like this year that the hitting is really, it's almost like they don't have any kind of camaraderie going on within this
Well,
team.
when you play in a little league park, your hitting will eventually come around there.
What Little League park? Oh,
Yankee
Yankee
Stadium. Yeah.
And Yankee Stadium is the one stadium easier to hit in than Coors
Right,
Field.
but they're not hustling. They're not running out pitch. You know, they're not running it out. They're just feels like they don't have a lot of motivation. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, you got to think about that team. Like, I mean, the losing streak and the losing grouping that they've been on, say, for the last month, is probably brand new to a lot of those guys.
What about the Cardinals? Or they really need both the Cubbies and the Cardinals are both about $33 to $35 million under the limit for the tax threshold.
I mean, the Cubs are competing where they're at. I don't know if they make any kind of real move. It would be nice to see them get a pitcher.
Okay, we do have one more quick subject that Malpal, I forgot to talk about Malpal's players. He brought up several players that he noticed of these several players are getting more playing time. And it is valuable for fantasy owners to talk about this for really quick. If you guys, Jake Fraley, are you, who knows about Jake Fraley?
Let me condense.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Malpal.
I'm a Fraley guy.
I was going to condense this.
There's two things. There's like these general rules that I live by when it comes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to talk about Fraley. This thing. I would say, like, there's some rules I live by when it comes to baseball. One is that the Rays know how to draft people, and two is Seattle knows who in the minors on other teams are pretty good. This guy was a second round pick by the Rays a few years back. He came over to the Seattle in that trade. We think of it in fantasy as the Malik Smith trade, but it really was about the Rays acquiring Zunino, and they gave back a future center fielder and Fraley in the regard. Fraley is a pretty good prospect. In 2018, he moved from off the table at the beginning of the year to being in the top 50 by the end of the year. He came up, hit 150. Everybody forgot about him. Last year was whatever 2020 was.
He did it again last year. Came up and hit
but last
150.
year was a goofball year. You know, Christian Yelich didn't hit, and like we can't really judge a lot from what happened last year.
Okay.
And then this year, Fraley, the thing that happened was he learned how to take a walk because his game is, whereas he is a potential 2020 hitter, he's more likely to be like a 15-25 guy. He's more of a stolen base guy than he is a power guy, and he can be pretty good. He could, that's it. I had him in Dynasty for a number of years. That's why I talk about this stuff. The big thing is that as he's come back this time, because his walks are up, it means that he knows what he's acting as if he knows what pitches he wants to hit, which is something he wasn't doing before.
He will never continue to walk this much. He's walking 27% of the time.
His walk rate is crazy, but I think it would stabilize. Like he was normally like an 8 to 10% guy. If it stabilizes at like 13 or 14, which is reasonable for a pro player to have,
for sure,
he will be a good player.
Okay, he doesn't hit lefties very good. I'm like the devil's advocate.
At this point, he doesn't hit either side really good.
He's hitting lots of home runs, right? Isn't he hitting home runs? And
he is hitting home runs, which is kind of the weird thing. It's like, I would think of him more as a stolen base guy than a home run guy.
Can I frame this topic a little different? We can fire.
Yes, of course.
These three guys I got three pitchers and three hitters that have kind of look like they may have some fantasy tools, and they're starting to play a little.
Okay.
So I'd be curious on if you would roster you could say a mixed league, because these guys are all rosterable and in only leagues. Bobby Bradley, Fraley, and Dylan Moore. Are there any of those guys that jump out and say, yeah, I think I might want to roster them?
I actually have all of them in at least one league. You
do, Douglas?
Well, Dylan Moore I have in the draft and hold. But I just picked up Bobby Bradley this week for $1 in NFBC, releasing Marcell Ozuna, who I think will be better than.
Okay, Bobby Bradley's a power hitter, definitely powerful, and I really don't see him losing playing time I don't see anybody losing playing time if they hit, but especially in Cleveland, they
traded away Bowers.
Does he play first base?
He plays first base. Yeah.
They have nobody.
It's a good spot. He's fighting out Yu Chang.
Right.
who is
I
best.
I have no play in any of the three.
So yes on Bradley,
What do you
right?
guys? Okay, yes on Bradley.
Fraley
Apparently
is-
some.
No one Bradley.
Why no on Bradley?
The notebook's out on him. What is previous? He's a power hitter. He strikes out a lot. I don't think that's gonna change, and I don't think he's batting 444. He's got 2 home runs already.
He's a
a
3-2
poor
outcome.
man.
I feel like I can get people off the waiver wire that can almost do what he is doing.
He's a poor man's Bobby Dahlbeck.
That's
actually not bad.
Exactly.
That's actually not bad.
I could cut Bradley for Dahlbeck in that league.
Okay,
I don't think
good.
I'd do it.
I think
If
we
you
all
had-
agree that
If you were
Dalby.
game enough to draft, Evan White, why would you not pick up Bobby Bradley?
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, right. Okay, that's true.
Yeah, Malpal's right about that one.
So Dylan
Now
Moore.
Dylan Moore is the guy that I'm really kind of fascinated by because he's hitting 160. The guy has really good power and he's really fast. This guy could literally hit 210 this year and go 2020.
And I think that
He's good, you're right.
his makeup
There's a place
is
for a guy like that.
he's a better average hitter than his make. Like if you were looking at him as a prospect, that was like going to be his calling card. He was going to come up to the majors as kind of like a David Fletcher type, and like somehow he became a speed guy. I don't know how that
He was
happened.
always a speed guy. Dylan Moore, he was always a speed guy. He's
No,
very-
he played college ball here at UCF, and he was really like a 324 hitter with like 3 home runs and 1 steal, and he was drafted out of UCF. I don't know where the speed came from.
Seattle's outfield's a mess. They got Trammell they really like. That didn't hit well in the minors. They brought him up. He's been so.
In 2016, Dylan Moore stole 42 bases.
Yeah.
Really?
No, Haniger's got an injury.
Yep.
I think it's
But he's growing into
interesting. He's not
power.
pace-
I forgot Haniger on trade him or keep him. He's number 1 on the trade list.
You can't trade an injured
hurt.
guy. So put
Yeah, the
him
problem
on
is he's
the
injured.
side.
Yeah, like Haniger probably will go to the Braves, but
Oh.
he's got to get healthy.
Oh man, would that guy look great?
So what's the
for Atlanta?
verdict? So what's the verdict on Dylan Moore? Can you take a 210?
You can't.
220 hitter? That might
No,
go
pal.
2020.
Malpal, what's his OBP?
Here is what
Does he
Dylan
get
Moore.
walks? Does he get walks?
Yes, he walks a little bit. He
Okay,
walks
then
enough.
if you get walks and you're in an OBP league, you can live with a low batting average.
Well, I think
If your category is batting average, he's going to kill you. Okay?
Well, to be honest, everybody's killing everybody in batting average.
That's true.
I think
Dylan
everyone's
Moore-
gonna be-
Here's why I like him.
Right.
He plays every position. He literally can play every single position except for catcher. So he will get in the lineup, especially right now. They don't care if he bats 210 the whole time. He's still hitting home runs and stealing bases. So that's what I like. I like him better than Fraley for sure. And I think he's better. He's more experienced than Bradley, right? Maybe
Mhm.
not. I think he is, though. I'm not positive of this.
Yes.
That's my.
he
that's my.
played most of a year.
That's my reasoning.
2019. He played 113 games in 2019. That's
How about the
significant
batting
scoring.
order? Where do we have these guys in the batting order?
That's a good question.
Moore's hitting 5th.
Yeah,
Moore's hitting 5 or 6 in the order since he's come off his injury.
That's not bad.
So it's intriguing to me.
and
Yeah.
but Jake
Now, my
Fraley,
3
dude.
pitchers that I kind of note.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Fraley, no, it's okay. Fraley's hitting. Last week he's been batting 5th, and tonight I saw he's batting 3rd, I think, or 2nd. So, he
What
hit a home
about
run.
Trammell? Do you guys like
Shane
Trammell?
Bieber, he probably
No,
I don't really believe in Trammell. I can't tell you why, Andy, but I just don't believe in him. I don't think San Diego would have turned him loose if they thought he was going to be really something. That's what I thought
I'm
he
not
was.
a Trammell fan.
I was grateful for Trammell because Trammell and Fraley came back the
I'm
same
not
week
a
about 3 weeks
Trammell
ago,
fan.
and I was able to get Fraley for nothing, and Trammell went for a lot, and I'm pretty happy with that. And
Shut
I would have
down.
chosen Franley over.
All right, so go ahead and move on to your pit. You got your pitchers.
Yes, your pitcher.
Yeah, so real quick, the 3 pitchers that I had are Gutierrez from the Reds, Sam Long from the Giants, and Davidson from Atlanta. Do you like any of these folks to, let's just say, roster in a?
I tried to
Davis and I roster. I'm one more start away from being something I would say must start the way he's been pitching. Gutierrez, I feel like I can get on the waiver wire because he doesn't strike out a ton.
What? No.
Yes.
No. He's great. That's my favorite of the three.
Who? Which one?
Gutierrez. Victor is his name.
He would be my favorite of three, but I'm not excited about any of them.
And Shed Long, if
not Shed Long, it's the other Long, right? Bobby Long, Howie
Sammy
Long.
Long. Sammy.
Yeah.
San Francisco Sammy Long.
Sammy Long.
Sammy Long.
He was doing good in the minors. He was only pitched 4 innings a year up in the majors. Or did he have a start there?
Oh, Sam, yeah.
I think that taking a page from Malpal's book about Evan White, if you were crazy enough to roster and start Aaron Sanchez, then Sammy Long is rosterable.
But the difference right now is Sammy Long. Granted, we've seen 4 innings, 7 strikeouts.
It may not even be a starter.
Correct, but if they decide to put him into the rotation and work that out, his stuff is good. His stuff is really, really good.
Why is it so good?
Yes,
fastball. He can locate his fastball.
Sammy Long is the best pitcher of all these.
Sammy Long's got a locating fastball, throws at 95, 96. His curveball is outstanding. He didn't throw his changeup much, but his changeup got a couple strikeouts on it. So
you like Coer. You liked Coer's changeup.
Look, he only threw it 5 or 6 times. The curveball that Sammy Long threw was amazing.
I was just teasing you, okay?
I know.
That's part of the game here.
Go on the MLB app and watch his strikeouts. It's
okay.
I think Long's got a good arm. His stats in the minors are really good. The one concern, he's pitched 20 innings above double A and above. So that's
and he's also like older too for that.
Vladimir is his name, not Victor. I think I called him Victor, but his name is Vladimir. Like Vladimir. Like Vladimir.
Yeah.
Vladimir
he's third on the list. He's third on the list.
Tosser in a home run park.
Here's what I love about him. I don't care about the home run park.
That could happen.
Okay, well, you could say that, but I don't agree with you because that's not what's happening in Cincinnati lately. I don't know if they've changed the dimensions of the park, but it doesn't seem like it's affecting.
The pitchers that we don't expect to be good are being better than they are.
Vladdy, okay, Gutierrez, this is my pick because he has played at every level in the minors. He has way more experience than your boy Sammy Long, and he's pitched well in the minors too, above single A and double A. And he's pitched 3 outings in the majors so far in his career, and he's thrown at least 5 innings all 3 times. And the last one, he threw 7 innings. That you never see that from a rookie. That's why I like him. Now I'll be quiet.
Well, it just depends on what format you're doing. I mean, if your format is innings like points league, he's very valuable. I just don't think I see anything that he does that wows me, and I think he will get lit up because he doesn't have a swing and miss pitch. He does not. He's never displayed that.
I don't think any of these guys are more than short-term patches. But I would go with Gutierrez because what he's doing right now.
I'd take Zach Davies over all of them.
Well, Tucker,
yeah, but you can't take Zach Davies.
Davison's done what the pitcher from Cincinnati has done, just with more Ks.
If you are in a league where you're talking about rostering Sammy Long, Zach Davies is owned by everybody.
I like Sammy Long too, and Tucker.
Zach Davies strike out maybe 2 people. It feels like a game. That's just me because I'm not a Zach Davies fan.
Sometimes you just need decent innings.
Yeah. Sammy Long, it's just all good. It's going to be just like the Shane McClanahan discussion.
I drafted Zach Davies and then I cut him. What is Zach Davies' earned run average over his last 9 starts?
You mean since you cut him?
Over his, I picked him up again yesterday. I do that all the time. What is his ERA? This
can
is
give you it in a
genius of
second.
the day, Andy. What
Okay.
is his ERA over his last 9 starts?
186.
1.74. You're close. His
Yeah.
ERA over his last 9 starts is 1.76. I'm sorry, I said 7.4.
And how many runs did he let up in 3 innings in his 10th start away?
Yeah, probably 5.
5.
Yeah, 5 and 7 in the 4 starts before that, though.
I'm just talking about the last 9 starts.
that's
The
fine.
ERA is 1.7.
We're just making a point on the arbitrariness of cutoff dates.
So
That's
he's ready to blow up, is what you're saying, dude. He's ready to blow up.
What I'm saying is the guy is 160 pounds. A strong wind would blow him right off the freaking mound.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him pitch until this weekend. Like, I never really watched the game full on. And he looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah.
He was good with the Padres.
He
Mel.
does?
He looks really
He
small.
was not bad
and
with
young.
the
I think
Padres.
it's me being old, but
He does.
No, he's a control pitcher. As long as he keeps his fastball away from the middle of the plate at 89 miles an hour, he does well.
Does he? Okay, so you just really, Joe does not like pitchers that don't have.
If you don't have velocity, you throw 89 like he does. When he misses his spot, it goes a long way.
I agree with Joe. I want a pitcher to have stop.
Look,
He has no stop.
it takes
An average Zach Davies game that's not a blow up or a great game is
Right.
5 or 6 innings, 7 or 8 hits, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. And you're hoping those 8 hits don't turn into 5 or 6 runs.
He struck out 6 last night in 7 innings. You've got 6 starters on the typical fantasy squad. There's room for a guy that throws junk and wins games and doesn't get blown up. Like Austin Gomber dropped me. Like he had an ERA of 27 in one game.
I'd rather have Gomber than Zach Davies.
Well, I would too, but I see he still screwed me in a couple of games early on. Gomber really knocked me for a loop.
What about Joe? What about like Zach Gallen? Are you okay with like a 92 mile an hour fastball? Like for me, I think that this lower velocity makes them, and I mean this is a bad example because
it's not because case in point,
he's hurt right now. I was going to say
Zach Gallen and Madison Bumgarner. Madison Bumgarner was throwing 89, 90. When he spiked to 92 this year, he had 4 or 5 starts where he was unhittable. His fastball velocity got down to 90 and he was hittable. Zach Gallen, when he dominated and he was pitching well last year, he was 93 to 95. If he's 92, 91, his stuff doesn't play up.
What about Kyle Hendricks then?
Yeah, you could. I've never had interest in Kyle Hendricks.
The other name would be Dallas Keuchel.
Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah,
soft tosses, but still is
Dallas
good.
Keuchel and Kyle Hendricks are the same pitcher.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Okay,
but you got soft pitchers that went up their velocity. Lance Lynn was throwing 92, 93, and now he's throwing what, 96, 97. I've seen him peak at I've seen him peak at 98, 99 this year.
That's amazing.
I have no idea where the heck it's come from, but
he threw hard when he was with the Cardinals years ago.
Correct.
He wasn't 98. He was just 95.
He's using sticky stuff, I bet.
He's slowed down the last couple of years, and then now all of a sudden he throws 70% fastballs at 98.
That's crazy.
Greg Maddux never hit 90 on a radar, by the way. This is the thing. Stuff does not mean velocity.
But your 90 mile an hour fastball, Greg Maddux can move it both ways halfway across the mound. The guys that throw 90 now are throwing it straight.
You have to have movement. The movement is more important than the velocity, Joe.
You think so?
No, I agree. Oh yeah, the movement's more important. But if you're throwing 96 and you got a little velocity, or a little bit of movement, you can get away with it. Right. You miss at 89, 90 anywhere that's hittable, it's done.
That's not true. If you miss it, like what do you mean? Like if you don't put any movement?
So if I throw 95 and someone who can hit middle in, if I leave 95 middle in, there's a chance he's ahead of it or behind it based on my secondary pitches. You throw 89 middle in, I see middle in to a good hitter throwing 89 going a long way.
I mean, I guess I think that it depends on all those things. So you don't have to be the highest velocity if you have good command and movement.
You don't have to throw 98, 99. I want a pitcher that throws I want 93 to 96 because I believe that's a good window. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. Like Lance Lynn will throw 99 and 93, but he mixes speeds well.
You have to mix. Yeah, you have to have a mixture of speeds, right?
Correct. But the guys that throw 90 aren't throwing 85 to 90 because 85 would just get destroyed.
When a guy like has a low velocity to begin with, such as Kyle Hendricks, okay, then what does his breaking balls look like? The velocity of his breaking balls, are they 60? I mean, are they 75?
I mean, Zach Greinke's the perfect example of a guy that threw upper 90s. Now he doesn't throw, I think I've seen him throw 90, 91, but his secondary stuff, Just like Kershaw's come down. Their secondary stuff is still good. That it kind of, I wouldn't say it's making the fastball, it's playing up the fastball a little bit better. But your secondary stuff, if you're throwing 90, has to be, it has to be amazing for that 90 to sit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As you get older, you have to learn how to deal. Like King Felix, he did not adjust to getting old well. He had his fastball, and when he started losing velocity on his fastball, then he was no good anymore. But
does anybody remember Livion Hernandez?
Yes.
Yeah, never threw hard. But
he was throwing 86 miles an hour the last 3 years he pitched.
Yep.
Bartolo Colon, he lived for a long time too in the baseball world.
Yeah, just the thing with velocity now, when they know your secondary stuff is crappy, or even they'll just sit on a fastball. That's what some of the young pitchers are learning that we talked about earlier while they're getting lit up. Their secondary stuff's horrible, and they wait for 95 in the zone. Kyle Hendricks' pitch as well because his secondary stuff isn't outstanding, but his secondary stuff is good enough that his fastball he can still miss with his fastball and get away with it. Zach Davies, I've seen him miss. I've watched too many Zach Davies games and seen him get lit up.
Aren't they better though? They last longer. They're more durable if they're not throwing so hard. That's just biology.
Zach Davies does not belong high on anybody's cut sheet. Let's face it.
You love it.
I dropped Perez. I paid $8 for this guy, Martin Perez, who's absolutely gotten obliterated. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's Martin Perez. That's all you have to say.
I think
on the roster at all.
I don't know why I got sucked in because he had a few good starts.
The only reason he gets sucked in is you're hoping he's going to go 5 or 6 innings. Boston's going to hit 8 or 9 runs, and you're going to get a cheap win out of it because Boston.
And his strikeouts were reasonable enough for his innings.
He was pitching well, you guys. I had Perez and Eduardo Rodriguez on the same fantasy team.
I paid $8 for.
I didn't rage drop Martin Perez, but I looked at him and said, "I'm never going to be able to start you versus anybody. You'll never have that much trust in me. So you got to go." It's like it doesn't matter. Like it's a wasted spot,
Oh, I have a good question rest of the season. This may sound crazy because it's an argument with my buddy we're having.
Okay.
Who's gonna have now? Don't worry. I'm talking about a superstar shortstop that just got paid, and I'm talking about a young shortstop in the AL East. But what is the difference in the two right now, currently, between Tatis, which we all universally love, and what Bo Bichette's doing currently in Toronto right now? Because the argument right now that I'm having is the gap is tremendous between the two young players, and I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
I think Tatis is better, Joe, but not greatly better.
Why do you think it's better?
Yeah, but Bichette is graduated into a first-round pick next year, though. So
yeah, that's right.
He's right there with Tatis.
Yeah, I just don't think he's getting the love that he should be getting right now.
I couldn't agree more with you.
That's because of Junior over there. Junior's
what's
taking
the argument for them being roughly the same?
Well, I met Dante Bichette and Bo when I was at Lakeware High School. Bo Bichette Dante hit batting practice at our high school stadium and broke one of our lights because he decided to plant a baseball in the upper.
Dante's dad coached at Maitland Little League till they moved to Tampa.
I just what I see in Bo is I see he could still run. I think Bo can steal 15 to 20 bases. He's starting to show that he did it in the minors.
Okay, Tatis can steal 50.
Yeah, it's maybe not 50, but 30 at least. Yeah, it's a big difference.
But the home runs that Bichette's starting to display, and his hitting tool is very, very good. I've seen Bo take pitches the other way that I normally wouldn't see a young hitter doing, because most of the hitters now are strictly pull.
Yeah, I'm not saying Bichette's bad, but he's not in that same category. And matter of fact, I would probably put another shortstop or two between the two. You know, with like Bogarts and Turner.
But Bichette's graduated to the end of a. Hasn't graduated at the end of the first round, early second round.
Yeah, he's one of my. Even before I had him on my team, he's probably one of my favorite young prospects and young players in the game, because that swing and the way he lays the bat down after the home run it's pretty nice to look at.
Just imagine the Toronto lineup if Springer comes back to anything close.
That's the other argument we're going to have, is if that lineup gets healthy. I know Boston's leading the division. I know the Yankees will get better. Can Toronto actually win this division with the Rays in it as well?
No, they have to get another.
I'm a Boston fan, and Toronto scares me out of all the teams in that division, because the pitching's decent. Robbie Ray's pitching out of his mind, but he's not walking people.
They're going to win the AL East.
And that offense scored 18 runs this weekend.
They're unbelievable good. They're the best team in the AL.
They need another starter, big time.
They got Manoah threw 6 innings and 1 earned run tonight against Boston. So
that's all they need then.
Yeah, they need. I think they need one more.
Tampa
but
wins the East. Tampa wins the East.
No, I don't think they will. I hope not. Maybe
Tampa wins the East.
But what if George Springer comes back like right at the good time, and then can you even imagine George Springer?
You're gonna have to go through Vladimir, Bichette, and Springer back to back. And Biggio, and you're playing in that little minor league, little league park that's even more hittable than Yankee Stadium.
And Teoscar Hernandez too.
And Teoscar Hernandez.
Is Dansby Swanson around? What team is he on? Tampa?
Atlanta still.
Okay, sorry, I'm just
like he's played for 15 years.
They have Lourdes Gurriel as the next guy in there, but
Lourdes Gurriel I forgot too. Yeah, their team is.
I was shocked to see Lourdes Gurriel on the All-Star ballot as a DH.
I threw him away, so don't talk about him.
Yeah,
okay.
He's not a bad player. Bo Bichette was going into the season. He was the 5th highest picked shortstop, so maybe he moves ahead of Story, but he still doesn't move up that much.
What he is hitting very good, Douglas. He's not.
Who do you put him ahead of? Tatis, Turner, Bogarts, Lindor is a
I put him ahead of Lindor right now.
Right now, because of Lindor's little starting thing, but it could change mentally. I think that Bo Bichette got all the love that he deserved to start the season, which was plenty of.
Okay. I think that he's been getting undervalued, dude, in leagues and in baseball for the last 3 years because of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. taking.
Well, no, there's that part, but I'm talking in fantasy, he's still being high.
I picked him up as a minor league prospect in a trade at the end of the year. I knew the name. I seen how well he was playing, but I didn't get love for him until this year, and now I've been getting trades all season to see if I can let go of Bo Bichette. I have 2 years left on this contract, but I can't. I don't.
If you compare him defensively, he's better than Tatis. If you compare his strikeout rate, he's better than Tatis. If you compare even his contact rate, I think is better than Tatis.
But if you compare him in like runs, RBIs, home runs, stolen bases, which is the things we count.
Well, now though, you could make an argument for that because of Toronto's lineup. He does get
RBIs. He does get runs in that lineup.
56 runs he has, dude.
Oh,
he did get. By the way, he was 4 for 5, like 4 hits and 5 runs yesterday with a stolen base and a home run. It was insane.
I think he's a little underrated, but it's hard to even compare.
As high as he is rated, it's hard. That's all my point is, that it's hard to talk about someone that being underrated.
No, the discussion came up because
pick.
The discussion came up because
overall pick. Is that what you're saying?
According to preseason ADP on NFBC. His average draft position was 24.62, so 24 or 25.
Okay. So he was being drafted 25th overall. That is pretty high.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Tatis was going in the first round.
Yeah, Tatis was averaging 2.6.
The argument came up because somebody offered me Tatis for Bichette and at the time Luis Robert before
Gosh,
Where he's
what
hurt,
a
yeah.
trade.
And I told him no because I like Bichette, and then the argument came up that the difference is so huge that Robert should have been the difference. I
agree with you in that. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't have made the deal.
I just want.
But you have a point.
Oh, I kept Bo Bichette. He wasn't going anywhere. Don't get me wrong, I love Tatis, but I just don't.
I gotta get going, but I did want to point out that it's interesting. I was kind of watching the Sox and Tampa game. They pulled Glasnow after 4 innings with the lead after 53 pitches. So
yeah, there were some.
Are you shocked?
Be curious if that's news or something.
That's a problem.
I didn't see anything.
Ah,
I
haven't heard
if
anything.
anybody-
I just saw that. Yeah.
that's not good.
And if anybody plays, I'm just going to do my one prospect at the end. If anybody plays long-term Dynasty towards next year,
Isn't that what Dynasty is?
pick up Cade Cavalli from the Washington Nationals. Yeah. They just promoted him from single A to double A, and he's only pitched about 30 innings.
Glasnow's
He
hurt.
was a top pick, wasn't he?
He was their number 1 overall pick in 2020, and he's already in double A.
Yeah. Yeah, he's moved.
Yeah.
Him and Grayson Rodriguez are the big guys in the minors right now.
Yeah, he has 71
No one's
strikeouts
against
and 71 strikeouts in 40 innings as a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
What happened to Glass now? Did they say it or no?
He doesn't come out after 4 innings if he's not hurt, dude. That's it.
Oh, I can tell. Hold on. Did you go on Twitter yet? Because that's
No,
a
I
really
haven't.
good spot to.
Go ahead. I haven't done it.
Glass
I'm
now.
going to post something in the chat room to make Douglas feel better about
What?
his injuries. Let me
I
show
have
you.
a lot. No, the crazy thing about it is like
Wow.
the crazy thing about fantasy sports, and this is one of the reasons why I stopped playing fantasy football years ago. Was it's amazing how it affects my personal mood.
I just gave you so the update on him via Twitter. Multiple people. It looks like it's a forearm arm injury they pulled him out for.
I don't know how it is. I'm in 5 leagues. I'm in first in 3 of them, but all these injuries in that one league are making me sad every week.
Yeah.
Don't look at that league anymore, Douglas. Don't look at it.
They're saying it's an elbow. He was pointing towards it. They were kind of signaling that way. That's why they pulled him out abruptly.
You can go, Malpal. If you gotta go, you gotta go. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, my power's
I
back.
think I'm ready to bail too, Andy.
Me too. If Mitchell's leaving, I'm leaving.
I thought you had something you had to talk to somebody about, but I forget.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that tomorrow or whatever.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
olive
you
oil.
wanted to talk to me about the olive oil.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
Popeye.
I've gained 15 pounds since COVID started. So
I'm telling you, it's working for me. Either that or I'm getting the placebo effect.
I like
I've
food.
lost.
You're not getting the placebo effect.
I
But
lost 15 pounds, I can tell you that.
are you exercising more now?
Yes, I walk 3 miles every day and I do weights 3 times a week.
Well, I'm not ashamed. I loved it, eating food. I like food, so that's what I
Well,
did.
I
for
do
a
too,
year.
and I'm going to continue to eat food, but I'm going to lose weight.
Okay, good. I'll talk to you about it. Then. I do want to
Okay,
talk to you.
bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Adios.
Later.